myself and Dr. Nazmi and Salah, who has kindly agreed to support us via his Hope Hub. So a little bit of an introduction to myself. My name is Bill Guariento, and I am an English language lecturer at a university in the north of England called Northumbria University. And it's in a city called Newcastle. And I have been working since 2015, so nearly 10 years now, with my friend and colleague, Dr. Nazmi Al-Masri. I've worked since 2015 with the Islamic University of Gaza on various initiatives. And I must say immediately that I am horrified at what is happening in Gaza, and I hope that soon the Islamic University can be back working, and I will be able to continue to work with Dr. Nazmi in the future. Okay, so that's a little bit about myself, and I teach. So a little bit about today's lesson. So I'm going to do some introductions. I hope that I will find out a little bit about you as well today. I'm going to give you an overview of the next 10 weeks, because I hope to deliver every Friday at 2 p.m. Jerusalem time a lesson, okay, for 10 weeks. And today we're going to have a little bit of a discussion about what makes a good language learner. Because I know that you are interested in becoming language teachers. So it's useful for all of us language teachers to know what makes a good language learner, okay? And we are going to follow all of these 10 weeks. We're going to follow one core text, okay? Now, excuse me 1 second, just 1 second. The text is excuse me, just 1 second. Well, I'm going to have to share. What I'm about to share. Yes, this is the core text, and it's by a very well-respected academic from New Zealand called Rod Ellis. He wrote this text in 2005, and I think that I've been a language teacher now for 30 years, longer than 30 years, more like 40 years, okay? And Nazmi is younger than me, but he has also been a language teacher for a long time. And I'm a good language teacher, and Nazmi is a good language teacher, but sometimes I think that it's useful to understand the theory behind how people learn languages. Not only what is successful in terms of classroom pedagogy, but how people learn languages. We need to create a link between theories of language learning and what we do in the classroom. And Rod Ellis has written this, or in 2005, wrote what I think is a very, very useful article. And we will look at this article every week, very slowly, for 10 weeks. And as you, if I don't know if you've seen the article already, but you can see the title, Principles of Instructed Language Learning. Okay. Then we have the abstract. And I'm sure you know that every article that you see in journals has an abstract at the beginning, which summarizes the whole article. And we will look at the abstract again later in this session. And then there's an introduction, which I will ask you to read tonight for homework. And then you will see some principles. So the title are Principles of Instructed Language Learning. And Rod Ellis gives various principles. Let's look at them. Principle 1, Principle 2, Principle 3, Principle 4, Principle 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So he has 10 principles of language learning. And we, in this course, have 10 weeks. So I think that you can understand my thinking that each week we will take one of these principles, we will read the principles, and then we will meet and discuss what Rod Ellis says and how it links to the language classroom. So that's my idea, okay? So, to return to the, excuse me. Okay, so that's our core text, is Principles of Instructed Language Learning, and it's in a journal called System. Can I just ask, can you see my slides at the moment? I'm now showing you a slide that says our core text. Can you see that?
No, it's just the principles.
Okay, just one second. Thank you for that. Okay, can you see my slides now? It says our core text.
Yeah, now we can see them.
Thank you very much. Okay, so I've given you a little introduction to the article, which we'll be reading together. Okay, so as I've said, each week we will look at one of the principles. So this is my idea for the 10 weeks of the course. So today, week 1, we are having some introductions, and we're going to look at Ellis's abstract. Next week, we're going to look at what Ellis says about individual differences in learners. Now we're going to look at Ellis's principle 9. Okay. In week number 3, we will look at his idea about learning rules compared to learning formulaic expressions. For him, that's principle 1. In week 4, we're going to look at what he calls the importance of focusing on meaning. And that's principle 2. in week number 5, we're going to look at classroom management, which Ellis doesn't say anything about, really, but I think is very important, and I'm sure Nazmi will agree with me. Week 6, we're going to look at what Ellis talks about learning implicit knowledge versus learning explicit knowledge, principle 4. In week 7, we're going to look at what Ellis says about focusing on form. That's his principle 3. In week 8, we're going to look at the importance of input. That's his principle 6. In week 9, we're going to look at the importance of output, which is Ellis's principle 7. And finally, in week 10, we're going to look at interaction in the classroom, which is Ellis's principle 8. So maybe I can ask you a question now, because I'm doing a lot of talking here, but when we look at the course overview, does anything seem strange or interesting? Or you can, if you want, you can put it into the chat. Yes, Esra.
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I want to thank you, Dr. Bell and Dr. Nazmi, for giving us this chance. I really appreciate it. And to answer your question, yeah, I find it interesting because we are English students, and to know these tips for the instructed language learning, we're going to benefit first ourselves. So we really need to know these principles to master this language.
Thank you, Esra. And you're very welcome. I'm grateful that you are with us here today. So it's a pleasure for me to work with you and with Nazmi. So you don't need to thank me. It's a pleasure for me. What I was thinking again about the course overview, and I'm wondering if there's anything that seems strange or interesting to you about the weeks that I've included in this course overview. Well, basically, I was thinking that next week I'm starting with principle 9, not principle 1. You understand? So I'm not planning to go through all of the principles in the same order that Ellis proposes. Yeah. And Nazmi, do you have a point you want to make?
Okay, thank you, Bill, for this introduction, and welcome all students who are fortunate to be part of this course. I would suggest that I think you put the principal interaction last. If you go to the next slide, so interaction in the classroom last week. May I suggest that it would be maybe in the first few weeks, first 3 weeks, so we can make interaction online and virtual interaction class here using Zoom.
Okay, I will think about it. I will try to reorganize the inputs. I understand what you're talking about, Nazmi.
Thank you. And also to encourage the students to participate and to be active and interactive.
I will think about it.
Thanks.
Thank you for that. Yeah. Okay. Let me continue then. Okay. So I thought that it would be nice to talk a little bit about our past language learning experience. Now, obviously, if we look at this list of languages, we have languages which I've tried to learn and languages that Nazmi has tried and maybe succeeded in learning. Now, you can see that the list of languages on my side is very long. But the problem there is that I've tried to learn these languages, but I haven't succeeded. Okay? Now, can I ask you a question, Nazmi? Obviously, you speak perfect Arabic. Obviously, you speak perfect English. Is your Hebrew good as well or not?
Is poor because we don't use it. After I learned it years ago,
Okay.
and it's easy to learn, but it's easy to forget because
Okay.
Arabic and Hebrew are very similar languages in terms of lexicon, grammar, syntax, etc.
Okay. Interesting. I didn't know that. Okay. So for Nazmi, you have two languages which you speak fluently and one which is rusty, as we say. Now, for me, there are only two languages in my list which I speak fluently, English and Italian, and that's because my wife is Italian. So really, you can say that I'm not a successful language learner at all. Okay. So we have English, Russian. I tried to learn Russian when I was at school 40, 50 years ago. And um, it was a real failure, even though I was very motivated. I think we can talk more next week about why I didn't succeed. We have another language now. I imagine, I may be wrong, but does anybody know in what country people speak Tigrinya? Does anybody know? It's not a common language. No, you've never heard of it? No. It's a language that people speak in a country called Eritrea or Ethiopia. So I spent a couple of years working there. But I didn't really succeed. I tried to learn Arabic with my wife, and again, I didn't really succeed. I tried to learn Spanish. I speak a little bit because it has similarities to Italian, just as Nazmi said that Hebrew has similarities to Arabic. So really, I'm not a good language learner. Okay, so I would like to hear from you. Okay, so maybe obviously you speak Arabic, obviously you speak English, but could you put your hand up, and if any of you speak any other languages, would you be happy to tell us which languages you speak? So Esra, what other languages do you speak?
As you said, Arabic is my first language, and we're learning English and speak it kind of fluently. The other language is Turkish.
Ooh,
I didn't actually start learning Turkish like as I want to learn it, but from watching TV shows and programs, I have some of idea about this language.
wow. Okay.
I
So
can understand if people talked or if I have conversation with Turkish people.
okay, and you learned your Turkish from basically from watching television or from videos. Is that what you're saying, Esra?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Okay. I am quite ignorant about Turkish. Are there any crossovers with Arabic? I don't think there are many, no?
No, it's actually so similar to our language, so that's why I found it easy to
Is it?
get the words.
Is it? I had no idea that Turkish and Arabic were closely related. Okay. Okay. What about you, Nada? I see you have your hand up. Do you speak any
Well,
other languages or yeah?
actually, yeah, my native language is Arabic, and I'm learning English. I'm like B2 level to C or something like that. But I'm learning Hebrew right now, and actually, the Hebrew language is really similar in how the alphabet are pronunciated in the both languages. And I have been really curious to learn about it more and more, because we would need to use it one day, or like it is our any language, so we had to learn it. And right now I'm learning it through authentic like programs, podcasts, or programs that would give me the opportunity to have an AI partner who could use the language with me.
Wow. Wow, that's really interesting. So now we have Turkish, we have Hebrew. Zaina, you have your hand up. What's your experience of language learning?
As you said, my first language is Arabic, and we're learning English language. And I've learned Spanish, but it's actually very hard to learn, and I can't get it.
What's that?
Spanish.
Yeah. What was the last thing you said? You said it's very hard to learn.
Yes, it's very hard to learn, and I can't get it very well.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. So the reason I can understand Spanish is because I speak Italian. And maybe the reason that you find people in Gaza find Turkish or Hebrew a little easier is because there are some sort of links between the languages. Yeah. So Zaina, it doesn't surprise me that you find Spanish difficult. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. Yeah, the grammar is horrible. Okay. Is there anybody else? Soha, you have your hand up. What's your language learning experience?
Well, hi, I'm Hala, using my sister's laptop, and her name is, yeah, sorry. Actually, just like in Nada, I guess Nada, or Isra. Just like Isra, I've learned Turkish from TV shows and films, and English also. I've learned English from movies and series.
Wow.
I like when people practice English in front of me. That's the way that I gained the language from them. Turkish, as Isra said, it's very easy. It's very similar to Arabic, maybe
Yeah.
because they are Muslims. I don't know, but it's really not hard, and it's easy for Arabic speaking language to learn it.
That's really interesting. Nada. I always thought that Turkish and Arabic were very different languages, but yeah, you're right. Muslim countries, shared history, so maybe I should not be so surprised. Yeah. Raha, you have something you would like to say?
Yes, I also know a little about the Turkish language because I learned that when I traveled to Turkey because we wanted to settle there, but I didn't use it when I returned to Gaza. So unfortunately I forgot it.
How old were you?
7 months, 7 months, I think. Yes.
Okay, and you stayed, obviously you were too young to learn a language then, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, I understand. Okay, but you're interested in Turkish as well. Turkish is obviously a very important language in Gaza. Yeah, I understand. Okay. All right, Nazmi, you had your hand up. Is there something you'd like to add?
Yeah, just a quick point regarding Turkish and Arabic.
Mhm.
Because historically, Turkey ruled many of the Arab countries, including Palestine, for
Mhm.
4 centuries.
Mhm.
So there were so many vocabulary are used in Arabic and Turkish together. But in terms of structure and other things and rules, grammar rules, etc., they are different. But second, because of similar, as one of the students said, of the similar cultural background, all words related to religion and to Islam are the same. When you talk about prayer, fasting, etc., they are in Arabic, salah, saum, so it's similar. So they are right. But I want just to mention why there is similarity, but not from the same family of languages. You know, Italian and Spanish, you said, because they are two sister languages of the Romance languages, and the Spanish and the Italian. While Arabic and Hebrew are Semitic languages, while Turkish is different, but like now we use a lot of Hebrew words in our daily language because of the occupation. When we say traffic light in Palestine, we use the traffic light Hebrew word. Everybody says Ramzan, but not the Sharat Murur, or rarely use the Sharat Murur. But we use, for example, Ramzan, and Ramzan is a Hebrew word, and many other words that, because of occupation and because of also a Turkish rule of the Palestinian and the Arab countries for centuries. So the same in English. We use everything now because of the mandate of the UK before the Israeli occupation. My father, may Allah shower him with mercy, used to speak English, learned from English, from British soldiers, and he used good English at that time and daily English until now. Anyway, I'm happy that the students are very active, and it's good.
Excuse me, we also have, I think, Salah. Are you still with us, Salah? I don't know if Salah is following.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Well, I wondered if you have your English is, you studied in the UK and your English is really good. What languages do you speak? Any apart from Arabic and English?
Yeah, I think just English. I tried the French language. Yeah, it's very nice language, but I did not attend the sessions anymore. But my English language was very weak, and I tried to attend some courses with the Middle East. Also watch some YouTube channels. Then I have tried to attend the IELTS exams 3 times until I got 7 at the final one. Yeah, then I applied for the scholarship and I got the scholarship, achieving scholarship. But I still feel that my English language is weak and I need to improve it by practicing, watching some movies. I prefer to watch movies with the subtitles and translation. But but in general, once I start talking with anyone, I still facing some problem with, which is translate the language in my mind to Arabic, then to English. So I feel that I should think as an Englishman and think by English language, and this need I think a lot of time to engage with other people and to understand their culture and to understand how to talk in their language.
All right. Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting to hear all of you speaking. Your English, obviously, Salah, your English is fantastic, but I'm also impressed with the English, the spoken English of all of the IUG students that I've heard so far. I see Asel, you also have your hand up. Can you tell us something about the languages that you speak? No? Or Allah and Amina, you have your hand up?
Hello? Do you mean
Or is that Yomna?
Yumna? Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yomna, what about you, your language?
First of all, thank you for this opportunity. Well, first of all, my name is Yumna. I'm 19 years old. I'm gonna talk about like what's the issues that I faced in learning English.
Excellent. That's the next part of my slide. Yeah, because as you can see, Yumna, that my last question on the slide is, have you
Yeah,
struggled with any of the language learning? So,
I didn't notice this. Sorry.
no, but that's perfect, Yumna. You tell us about the challenges that you faced.
Okay, first of all, I used to learn English by myself. There's no one in the world teach me how to speak in English. Either the accent or the phrases or anything, like just from the school and university as well. But I feel like I need someone to practice English with in home or in anywhere. So joining this course made me feel like finally I find that um, the I find the chance to speak with people. I feel like I have I don't know how can we call it anxiety. Like I feel I can't speak in English so good, and I don't practice a lot as I told you because there is no one to speak with. So yeah, if we're gonna talk about the languages that I speak, I speak, of course, my mother tongue, Arabic, and then English. Like I hope if I can improve it and develop this English because this is why I entered this major. And as well, I love to speak in Korean, Chinese, Japanese, Italian. I used to practice how to introduce myself in these languages. Actually, I can't speak them fluently, of course, but I hope if one day I can speak them fluently.
Okay. Thank you, Yumna. Okay. Now I see other people have got their hands up, but I think maybe I can ask you.
Can I answer?
Yeah, who is the Asa? Yes. Maybe if you could tell us about my last question on the slide. Have you
Because
struggled?
it was like with the microphone, I couldn't open it. But now it's okay. At this stage, I'm trying to learn the English language completely by studying it and studying it completely, but its grammar and all of these things. All
Okay. And do you feel that the grammar is easier than speaking, or do you feel that speaking is easier than grammar? No?
Can I answer this question?
Yeah.
Actually, speaking is easier than grammar. I struggled a lot with grammar English, and still I can't get it very well. It's very hard to me. I don't know why. I tried a lot to learn it very well, but I found very problem with it.
Okay. Well, on this course, we are going to be looking at some of the theories about the difference between grammar, learning grammar, and learning how to become a good communicator. And yeah, I find it very interesting. So I hope you will enjoy it too. Okay. So I'm going to move on to the next slide now. Excuse me. Okay. Now, we've been talking about learning languages.
Sorry, may I join you?
Yeah.
Thank you. Actually, I want to talk about my experience. I tried to learn Japanese language, but I struggled with it and didn't succeed. I found it challenging and I decided to stop. Another language I tried to learn is sign language for deaf and mute people. I really appreciate it because it allows me to communicate with my deaf friends. My love for them actually inspired me to learn this language, sign language, and I find it beautiful and expressive.
Wow. Allah, it's very interesting that you mentioned sign language because because one of the most beautiful things that Nazmi sent me 5 or 6 years ago, I don't know if you remember, Nazmi, but you sent a video of the first day at the IUG deaf school. It was a degree for deaf students, and they were so happy to be on campus, and they were signing their happiness. And I think this was saying fantastic or something. It was really beautiful. So Allah, I understand why sign language is a very beautiful means of communication. So thank you for sharing that. That's great.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Let's look at the slide together. So we have a slide which talks about the good language learner. Okay. So for the past 10 minutes, we've been talking about learning Turkish and Hebrew, sign language, English. Okay. They're all different languages. So what makes a good language learner? Okay. What does a student need to have inside them to make them a good language learner? Okay. So just think for 1 minute. Don't speak. Just think, what makes a good language learner? And then I'm going to put you into some groups to make a little list. Okay, so just think, and I'll put you into groups. Okay. Okay, I'm sorry. I unfortunately I can't put you into groups at the moment, but maybe you've been thinking now about what makes a good language learner. So maybe together we can make a little list of what you think makes a good language learner. So please tell me, I see that you have your hand up, Yomna. What do you think makes a good language learner?
Well, for me, I have like a very tiny answer. For passion, without any doubt. Like, if you have the passion, you'll achieve whatever you want, even if you want to make your language more fluent, or if you want anything from this life, if you have passion and if you love this thing, you will achieve it for sure.
I think I totally agree with you. Okay, passion. Okay, Nada, you have your hand up. What can you add? Maybe, I don't know, if you have a pen and paper, you can make a little list all together as we are talking together. So Yomna has said passion. Nada, can you add something else?
Well, for me, I had prepared a list before, as Dr. Nazmi has asked us in the WhatsApp group. So could I say all of them because I have a lot of points?
No. Can I ask you to wait until we see what other people say, and then I will come back to you, Nada. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah, but thank you for preparing. Okay. So Nada, I will come back to you in a couple of minutes. Mina, do you have something to add to the idea of passion?
Assalamu alaikum. It's a pleasure to meet you all. I would emphasize on 4 points about what makes someone a good learner. It's about my opinion. First, to use various learning techniques that suit their style. For me, I prefer learning by listening podcasts and read short articles because when I read long articles, I feel bored.
Okay.
Second, to be willing to listen and consider people's opinion and perspective, to be open-minded. Third, to not give up learning because practice makes perfect. And for me, easy come, easy go. If you learn easily, it will be so easy to forget the language. Fourth, to seek out opportunities that makes you immersed in the language, to take courses. That's it. Thank you.
Wow. Yep. Okay. You speak very quickly there. I'm just writing them down. Okay. But I like your word immerse. That's a useful word. Yeah. Like going under the water of the language. That's really useful. So next, I think Allah and Amna, do you have anything to add?
Yes, I am Amna now. I am
Okay.
Amna now. Actually, for me, a good language learner is someone who is curious and open to new experiences. And for him, it's okay to make mistakes. As Dr. Nazmi said for us, it's halal to do mistakes. Yeah, and they practice regularly, stay motivated and positive, not giving up, and seek opportunities to use this language in the real life in situation. And for me, the most efficient 2 keys are patience and perseverance to learn any language and to continue and not stop. Yeah, that's
Wow.
it.
Okay, that's a lot of good ideas there. Thank you, Amna. Okay. Mais, do you have anything to add? Mais?
Yes, I have. I got 3 things left here. So from my humble experience in learning English, I got 3 things, which is first, you have to gain discipline and stick to your plan. So, for example, you could listen to podcasts every day, watch movies without any translation. So you get used to listen to language. And then we have perseverance. So we have to just keep going on and never despair. And the last thing, it's practice. So practice makes perfect. That's for me.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, Asel.
Okay, I will mention 3 things that I think are important from my point of view.
Yeah.
You should listen carefully to native speakers so that we can pronounce the word correctly. And the second, that practicing language with people, or preferably with people who speak it. Maybe you can practice this with you join a course or talk with native speakers. You can practice the language very well. And the third thing, I think that is very important, that you must be patient. Don't be impatient, because you mustn't get bored quickly, because learning takes time always.
Wow. Yeah, patience.
And I'll mention the last reason, that you should be motivated and work hard and take courses and listen very lot to speak English frequently and fluently, and master this language.
Okay, okay. So one thing I find interesting is um, you, Hassel, you say it's important to listen to native speakers. I'm amazed that so far I've heard maybe 15 students speaking. I don't know if it's because Nazmi is a good teacher. I don't know if it's because you are good students. Um, but your pronunciation is really, really good. So I think you should be very proud already of what you can do in speaking in the
Yes,
English
we are
language.
very proud of Doctor,
Yeah.
because
Okay. Now, excuse me, can I come back to Nada? Nada, you've heard many people saying what they think makes a good language learner. You said you had a list, Nada. Is there anything else that you on your list that people didn't mention already?
Well, yes, there is. There's self-aware, which is they recognize their strengths and weaknesses, and they are willing to ask for help when they need it, and set goals for themselves and work towards achieving them. Another point, which is practice
Consistency.
consistently, even if it's just a few minutes each day,
Okay.
and use authentic materials such as podcasts, videos, or TV shows to learn the language. And actually, this is a struggle that I have faced myself in learning English, which is immerse ourselves in the language as much as possible, whether through travel, exchanging languages with a language partner, or practicing in language exchange programs. And the last point, which is we don't have to treat ourselves like a beginner. We must push ourselves forward to increase our abilities and skills. And we must not rely on what we have gained from school education, for example.
Okay, interesting. Nada, I particularly like your additional comment about self-awareness. I think it's an important thing to know what you're good at and what you still need to work more on. So thank you for adding there. So maybe one more comment before we move on. Wafa, you have your hand up. Is there anything else that you would like to add to the list of what makes a good language learner? Wafa. Wafa.
Hello.
Hello, Wafa. Can you tell us what you think makes a good language learner? Is there anything else that you can add?
Okay. Yeah. In my opinion, a good language learner typically includes several key points. First of all, the motivations. The motivations, in my opinion, that's mean the strong desire and the use energy. Whether for example, travel, work, teaching another, and etc. And the the second point is opens to make a mistake. It's not shame to make a mistake or make error, because this is not our mother tongue language, and we want to learn this language in order to more than one reason. So we are welcome to make mistake, and this is not we not feel shame when we make this mistake. And the third point is the practicing and active practice to what we are there. Um, for example, if we learn a new word or a new vocabulary or a new phrase, I use this phrase in my daily life, and I put this a new word in my vocabulary and use it, and I learn this word or this new word to for example, my sisters and my parents, for example.
Okay.
I feel very good feeling when I learn a new word, and uh, because I wish to be a teacher, an English teacher, so I want to learn this nice language to my students, and to to make this language easy to use in their daily life.
Okay, thank you, Wafa. Well, it's interesting that you have lots of ideas, and there are many similarities. I keep hearing the word perseverance is a common idea, and seeking out opportunities. This links to Nazmi's point about the importance of interaction. And the word immersion has come up more than once, diving into the language. And three of you talked about the importance of being open to making mistakes. Yeah, I agree, is really important. Now, I am going to show you, you have told me what you think makes a good language learner, and now I am going to show you what an expert thinks. So let's compare our ideas to what an expert says. This is Naaman's idea. Can you see the list here of Naaman's ideas? Can you see it?
Yeah, we do.
Thank you, Esther. Okay, take a minute to read. I think that you mentioned most of these ideas. Do you think there is anything that Naaman says that you didn't mention? Hala.
Well, I wanted to mention that if you want to be a good language learner, you should, how to say it, to make the language, to take the language, sorry.
Okay.
The language in your routine. I mean, I was with my sister. We were practicing always in English to tell each other about work stories or university stories, our friends. We were not. We won't look at the grammar or maybe at the pronunciation. We were just talking about it. I always try also to every day at the morning or at night. I try to make my note. I talk about my thoughts in this day. I talk about my plans. I just try to practice English more and to make it a routine.
Okay.
And sorry, at the beginning, I didn't start as I wanted.
Don't worry. So it sounds to me, Hala, that when you talk about practicing with I think you said with your sister, and you're not worried about the grammar, it sounds to me as if you are talking about the last point on the slide. Your focus, if we look at the last point, and when you talk to your sister, you are focusing on the meaning of what is said and not just on the grammar. Okay. Excuse me. So let me ask again the question. Do you think that Naaman's list is different from our list in any way? Esra, did you have an idea?
They are so similar, but I want to add something that I guess, I don't know if they said it, but the internet was cut off at some point, so I'm just going to say it. I think you have to be persistent and diligent, like you have, and also the constancy. You have to set a routine, as Hala said, to yourself and do it every day. Like in Arabic, we have a say that it's قليل دائم خير من كثير منقطع. In English, it's when you do a little, but it's constant, it's better than doing a lot, which is interrupted. So you have to practice every day. For me, I'm gonna say my way of practice. Actually, during the war, I found that writing is my way to contend with negative feelings. So, especially during these hard circumstances, I found that I can write stories to narrate what's happening here in Gaza. So, I started doing so, and I do publish them on platforms like Electronic Intifada, Washington Report. We Are Not Numbers. I do publish and tell the word about what's happening here in Gaza, and this in the same time, I'm practicing my English and my writing.
Fantastic. I'm very pleased to hear that you're writing and telling the world about what is happening. Thank you for that. I'm also pleased that you mentioned the words, two adjectives, little and regular. Now, Esra, I think in a way you have described what I'm hoping to do with this course, because every week we will look at one of Ellis's principles. We will look at a little thing, one principle, and we will do it regularly for 10 weeks. So do you understand, Esra, that I follow your thinking? Little and regular, yeah, is a good way to learn. Yeah. Amna, do you have something to add?
Yes, Ala. I want to add something for the learners in English or any language in general. I think there's something important in learning language, which is self-confidence. I believe I believe that the learner should believe in his or her ability to learn and speak the language that he or she learn in general. That's it.
Yeah, so something you're saying there, Allah, is it's not just in language learning, it's all learning. It helps to be self-confident. Of course, I agree with you. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Now, I'm going to return again to our core text. Okay. Just to repeat, the core article for this course is by Rod Ellis. It's called Principles of Instructed Language Learning. Please notice he's not talking about English language learning. He's talking about all languages. Yeah. So I believe that what he says is true of teaching English, is true of teaching Arabic, is true of teaching Turkish, any language. Yeah. So today, for the rest of our lesson, we're going to look at the abstract of this journal. Okay. All academic journals start with an abstract. Okay. So let me ask you this question. Can you see the last question on my slide? What is the purpose of an abstract? Why is it useful? So who can answer that? Esther, what's the purpose of an abstract?
The abstract gives you the gist of the whole core, so it makes it easier for you to understand and have an idea or to predict what you're gonna read or have.
Good. Yes, that's a good answer. And I guess we can take it a bit further. Why is it useful? I think you've answered that already, but maybe we could add something. Why is it useful? Why is an abstract useful? I'm thinking that if you are a busy person, why is an abstract useful for you?
as I said, it's giving you the gist.
Okay.
So you don't need to read the whole thing. You just have the gist.
Yes, exactly. I think that's the key. You don't have to read the whole thing. You you read the thank you, Esra. So you read the abstract, and then you can say, no, this is not useful for me. I will not read the article. Or yes, this is maybe useful for me, so I will read the article. So thank you, Esra. You're right. So we are going to look at the, oh, excuse me, I've got a problem with my slides. So just a second. Okay, so what is the purpose of the abstract? This is what Esra said. It summarizes the main points. And why is it useful? You can decide if you want to read the whole article. Okay, so now I'm going to show you the abstract. Excuse me, before I continue, have you received a link to the article already? Can you tell me, yes or no? Or Nazmi, could you tell me, or Salah, has the article already been
No, we
shared?
didn't.
No? Okay.
No, we didn't.
Not
We
yet, sorry. Not yet, but if you would like me, I can send it maybe at the end of the session.
Yeah, we could. Okay, it's not important today, Nazmi, to have the article, but I wasn't sure. Okay, it's not important today because I am now going to show everybody the abstract for Ellis's article. So I would like you to take 5 minutes just to read through the abstract now. Okay.
If you will to enlarge it so they can see it well, if you just close the side columns of the slides.
Okay, Vanna.
It becomes clearer to be seen, especially for those who are using their mobiles, not laptops.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's where I could see the cursor. That's good. Yes, that's good.
Thank you.
Just maybe you need to take it a bit up. Last line is not clear.
Oh, I think there's a problem. I will have to.
No, just a space, maybe.
No, I don't think I can change that. Okay, I will.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It can be read. It can be read. No problem.
So I'll give you 5 minutes just to read that.
Perfect. Now. You change the slide, yeah.
One more minute. Okay. Are you happy to talk? Can we talk? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so let's talk about this abstract, because this is a summary of the next 9 weeks that we will be spending together. Okay, so I have some questions for you to think about. Just a second. Can you summarize the first sentence in your own words? And can you summarize the last sentence in your own words? So let's go back. Think for a minute. So this is a difficult question, but if you said that before, you said that it is halal to make mistakes. So is anybody feeling confident and brave? Can they summarize the first sentence? Okay, I know it's difficult. All right. So what about the last sentence? Let's look at the last sentence. Does anybody feel brave enough to summarize the last sentence? Put your hand up if you feel happy to answer or to try to answer. Okay. This is my idea. So the first sentence, in my opinion, says there are lots of theories about how best to teach a second language. Okay, so let's read the first sentence again. This article represents an attempt to draw together findings from a range of second language acquisition studies in order to formulate a list of general principles for language pedagogy. So for me, excuse me, that means in simple English, there are lots of theories. There are lots of theories. Okay? And let's look at the last sentence together. The last sentence, in my opinion, Ellis is saying, I will give you some possible answers, but maybe I'm wrong. So let's read the last sentence again. Ellis says, the principles draw on a variety of theoretical perspectives and are offered as provisional specifications for a learning-centered language pedagogy. So what's interesting for me is the words provisional specifications. Can you see that they are in speech marks? So he is stressing that he's not sure. Nobody is sure. Okay, so he is saying in simple English, Ellis is saying, I will give you some possible answers, but maybe I'm wrong. Okay, and one thing that we will learn in the next 10 weeks is that language learning, the theories behind language learning are so complicated. One expert feels one thing, one expert feels another thing. In many cases, there are no definite answers, okay? There are just possible answers. So Ellis is putting forward in his 10 principles some possible answers on what makes good practice in teaching in the classroom. Okay? All right. Now, if we look at the other sentences, okay, not the first sentence, not the last sentence, but the sentences in the middle. So he talks about these differences. Formulaic versus rule-based knowledge. Focusing on meaning compared to focusing on form. Implicit versus explicit knowledge. Excuse me. The role of input. The role of output. The role of interaction. Learner differences. So, these are some of the things that Ellis thinks are interesting. These are some of the things we will be discussing in the next 9 weeks. Do you have any ideas what some of these things could mean? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ideas here. Do you have any idea what any of these could be talking about? Oh, excuse me. I see I have some hands up. Okay, Nada.
Maybe the necessity for learners to develop both formulaic and rule-based knowledge, the importance of focusing on meaning and form, and the need for instruction to cater to individual differences among learners.
Okay, so which one are you? It seems like you are speaking about many of them here.
Well, I'm speaking about both of them. I don't know. There's no specific one.
Yeah. Okay. So, well, you focus firstly on, you mentioned formulaic versus rule-based knowledge.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, maybe we could start with that one. So, what do you think this is not just a question for you, Nada, but for anybody, what do you think rule-based knowledge could be? No. For me, rule-based knowledge is probably learning the rules of grammar. and some of you talked about learning grammar rules before, okay? I can't remember which person talked about learning grammar, but you definitely mentioned it. I'm sure all of us have experience of learning grammatical rules, but what do you think Ellis could be talking about when he talks about formulaic knowledge? That's a difficult word. The word formula. We use formula in mathematics. What does it mean, formula?
Maybe the structure or the set of words. Is it right or am I wrong?
I think you're probably describing, when you talk about structure, you're probably going closer to the idea of rules, I would think. But a formula, in mathematics, a formula is something which is always true, something that you don't need to think about. Okay, so in language, we sometimes have phrases which we use, and we don't really know exactly. We can't understand the grammar of them, but we understand how to use them. So, for example, when Allah was learning Japanese, maybe Allah, you learned some Japanese phrases, you learned how to use them, but you didn't understand the grammar. Okay, so that's an example.
Yes, yes, sir.
Yeah.
I learned some words, phrases, something like that.
Yeah, exactly. So you can throw these phrases into the conversation, and you can probably use them with the right general meaning, but you don't understand the grammar within the phrases. Yeah. So the difference between formulaic and rule-based knowledge is, when you learn a language, it's useful to learn phrases. You might not understand the grammar inside the phrases, but you can use the phrases in the right circumstances. And this makes your communication quite fluent. You can move quickly, okay? Whereas with rule-based knowledge, you work out much smaller details, okay? And both of these are important, according to Ellis. Now, please don't worry if you don't understand this clearly, because each week we will look at these, okay? But it's useful maybe just to start us thinking about some of these ideas before we continue. So another difference is focusing on meaning compared to focusing on form. We've talked a lot about this already. Yes, Esra, do you have something you wanted to add here?
Yeah, I think when you focus on meaning versus focusing on form, focusing in meaning, you're working on delivering your idea and thoughts rather than focusing on the way or the structure, the form. You just
Esra,
want
yeah,
that you're,
Esra, that's a fantastic answer. Yeah.
Yes,
Well
exactly.
yeah. Thank you. You said it better than I could say it. Well done. And we will look for 1 week at this difference between focusing on meaning, which is trying, as you said, as getting across your idea, and focusing on form. Wafa, did you want to add something? Okay, I will continue then. The third bullet point is the difference between implicit and explicit knowledge. What do you think that could mean? Nada.
Well, I'm not sure, but would it be like the denotation and connotation?
That's a good answer. I'm trying. Yes, some things that you can, I think it's linked to that for sure. Implicit and explicit. Mina, do you want to add something to that?
Yes, I think it's about idioms. Okay, they have an implied meaning, not like the explicit meaning. Like when I say it's a piece of cake, I don't mean it's a piece of cake. I mean it's easy. So the implied meaning is very different.
Okay, so you're saying something very similar to the idea of denotation and connotation as well. Well, we will see in more detail when we look at the principle on implicit and explicit knowledge. But it's mainly about things that you can express. You can. It talks about the difference between language learning and language acquisition. So I don't know if you've come across this difference between acquisition and learning. There is the idea that learning is something that happens in a traditional way with the teacher explaining things, and that's explicit knowledge. And there is acquisition, which takes place in a more natural way, without actual teaching involved. Okay, so a lot of you have talked about learning Turkish or learning English by watching videos. Okay, and a lot of you have, or all of you have got this these incredible language skills already, from a lot of it from implicit learning. Okay, where you are not setting out deliberately to learn the language that day. Okay, so but we will look again at that in more detail. Oh, excuse me. And then there is the role of input. So input. So in English, in any language, there are 4 skills: reading, writing, speaking, and listening. Which are the input skills? Anyone?
Reading and listening.
Well done, Esra. Good. So input is reading and listening. Okay, so what is the role of input? And one week we will look at what experts have said about the role of input in language learning. And then there is the role of output. And what are the skills, the two output skills? That's
Speaking
and
output.
Speaking
and writing.
And writing. Good. So those are what is the role of the output skills? Okay. And then we have the role of interaction. Now, Nazmi said at the beginning of our session that interaction is absolutely vital. So we have input and we have output, but obviously they are not usually separate. There's input and output, input, output, input, output, all at the same time, and that is interaction. And as Nazmi said, that is absolutely key to learning a language. Okay? We will look at that in more detail. And then finally, learner differences. Can you imagine what are some of the learner differences that you can think of? Give me some ideas of possible learner differences. Esra.
Like every person got a different way of learning.
True.
Like some people like visual learning, others like different ways of learning. So we have to know these differences and get to know the language by the way that suits us better.
Okay, so the difference in learning styles, yeah. Anything else? Can anyone else think of any differences in between learners?
I think also the ability. Like we have different abilities, so some students may get the information from the first time, some may get it from like twice, different abilities.
Yeah, that's a more tricky one because there's a lot of, I don't think Ellis talks a lot about language learning ability, and this is an area where the experts have spent 50 years fighting about whether there is such a thing as a good a person who is naturally a good language learner or not. Yomna, what do you think another learner difference could be?
Well, I guess like processing speed. Some learners grasp concepts quickly, while others need more time to process information.
Mm-hmm.
And memory. I guess if they have or work in memory and long-term retention affect learning outcomes.
Wow. Okay. I can see that you've already done a lot of work with your teachers, with Nazmi. You are coming to this with some good ideas. Yeah. I think I can add motivation as a learner. There are many others like age, gender, motivation, and we'll be looking at that also. Okay, so we're coming to the end of the lesson, so I'm going to move on to the homework that I'm going to give you for next week. Now, in my understanding is that Nazmi or Salah, you will share the article with the students. Is Nazmi, Salah, is that correct?
Yeah, I'll share it in a minute. It's 16-page article PDF on the group, on WhatsApp group in a minute.
Okay. So thank you, Nazmi. So and just 1 second. I want you to see that. Yeah. And you don't have to read the article in 1 day. I think it would be a mistake to read the article in 1 day. I think that we should take it slowly and read the article in small pieces. And each week we will discuss one of the small pieces. Okay? So Nazmi will share the article with you. And for next week, I would like you to read the introduction, okay, which is pages 209 to 210. And there are 4 paragraphs in the introduction. Your job, your task, is to summarize each paragraph in 1 sentence, only 1 sentence. And then we are going to focus on, excuse me, I'm going to go back. We're going to, can you see the last bullet point there? Learner differences. We're going to start by focusing on learner differences. And I want you to read Principle 9, pages 220 and 221. What does Ellis say about aptitude and motivation? Okay, so we will start with the very difficult topic of whether some learners are good at learning languages or naturally good or not, okay, which somebody mentioned. And we will also talk a lot next week about motivation, okay? And we will also share these slides and this homework via the WhatsApp group at the end of this session. And the same every week. We will share the slides with you and the homework with you so that you know what to do. Before we finish, do you have, these are my references. So there are only two references, Rod Ellis's article and the extract from Neyman's Good Language Learners. Before we finish, do you have any questions for me?
Thank you, Dr. Bell. Thank you so much for this chance.
You're very welcome.
If I say, I have already WhatsApp the article to the students.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? Well, yeah.
Just a quick comment. I would like to thank the students for almost all of the students who were accepted to this program have attended, apart from maybe two couldn't join us, which is really great because it is short notice and difficulty of the internet. And maybe one student, I saw the name without being registered or being accepted. As a first session, my opinion is it's really good in terms of technology. We have no difficulties and the internet. In terms of interaction, I think I'm happy with the such interaction and participation of the students in the first session as good, and would like to thank them for being willing and so interested in this program, and they are fighting with me, many of them, to join this program, but we can't accept everyone. And also I would like to thank Bill, in fact, for this initiative and this really mastering, in fact, the delivery of this session. What I would like to say, I don't know, my students can say the same or something similar or different. Everyone is free. I feel that you managed, Bill, to take me out of the context of war and the problems in Gaza. You could drag me back to academic life, which we missed a lot for a year. We have been deprived of giving or taking lectures, attending meetings, discussions, workshops, and normal daily academic life. So I highly appreciate what you have done. And by the way, to my students, Bill has done this project or is doing this project or this course as a way of supporting the Palestinians. And I can say from the first session, you achieved your support, and we feel at least, or I feel at least, I am in the mood of academic life now, after the mood of war, suffering, uncertainty, etc. Thank you. That's the least I could say for your support, Bill. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I feel very sad when I hear those words, but my heart is with you. That's all. I really appreciate your words. Thank you, and it's been a pleasure for me to be here with you. Thank you so much, and
Not at all.
I really look forward to seeing you next week, and I wish you a safe week. And I'd like to thank Salah as well before we go, who has been incredibly helpful in setting this up as the organizer of Hope Hub. I know that you're all living in awful circumstances, and there are so many people in the UK who are with you, so you're not alone, okay? It's a pleasure for us to be working with you. Thank you, Nazmi. I look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you, Will.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Will. Anybody wants to say anything? If there is anything before we say see you later, see you next week. Anybody wants to say anything? Just raise your hand. If not, let's say see you later and not goodbye. And in Arabic لا تقل وداعا بل إلى اللقاء. Thank you all.
Thank you, Nazmi.
Thank you all.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Salah.
Salah, for also engineering the technical side and support of this session and the coming sessions. We're
Thank you,
proud
Salah.
of you, Salah, and proud of you all. Thank you for your contribution.
What a pleasure. See you next week, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.